German museum, of course. This is
centerpiece. If this was a traditional YouTube video, it would start with 1 billion hidden collection next to the Nürburgring, like you have to see this now, exclusive, or something like that.
But this is not your average YouTube video, right?
No, and I will tell you honestly what happened. Sergio told me last December, you keep one day free, and I'm gonna take you somewhere that you're gonna love it. And he wasn't.
I didn't lie. There's this place a couple of hours away from the Nürburgring, a little bit in the middle of nowhere, really. There's a car museum. There is an industrialist, a private person that has this amazing collection of cars, and he decided to open it to the public. So it's been open for a little bit over 6 months, I believe, now. But it's still kind of obscure. It's not really, you know, a go-to place for those that come to the Nürburgring. But I said to Kostas, we have to go there. There is a 100th anniversary Le Mans exhibit, and I want to go see that.
These 10 cars, one single floor. Like the collection is huge, as you can imagine, but that single floor
justified the whole
that
trip.
housed the Le Mans.
A special mention to Florian Urbisch. That
100%.
Yeah.
We thought that he's just gonna say hi and say, guys, this is it, and
enjoy
he
it.
took his whole day to get us around, to tell us things about the cars.
He knows the cars.
He made our visit.
But the coolest thing is that he's really passionate about them. So it was, you know, really a pleasure, an eye-opener experience to go around, because you just don't look at the cars. Maybe you know some facts, etc. But he would just give you the rundown, and it made it all more special. So
the cool thing, and what I didn't believe, is that they actually own all these cars, including things like I'm not believing I'm gonna say an Audi first, but they had like the only Audi that has won Le Mans that is not owned by Audi. It is in the collection of the museum.
And they have the CLK GTR, like the flying Mercedes.
And they have this 330 Ferrari that's
that is
so pretty, like one of the prettiest race cars out there. And you're gonna see this because it's part of the Ferrari exhibit.
By the way, lots of memorabilia as well. The building is fantastic. They have a very cool restaurant. So it really, the trip was really justified. I personally, knowing more or less what we were going to see, I wasn't ready for like the full Monty, like the whole complex is
Same
fantastic.
here. Yeah. When it comes to things that you can do at the Nürburgring, this is a bit of a hidden secret. And because many times you are here, you finish your driving, and then you might have like an idle day, or you have a morning that you don't know what to do, or you have an extra day that you want to fit with a car-related activity. You can go in this museum and do it quickly in 3-4 hours, or spend there a whole day as we did. And we want to go back. There were so many things, like Formula 1 race cars, details, memorabilia, DTM cars.
Like I don't know, special cars like a 959 Porsche that was originally owned by Walter Hoel. Like the car. Anyway, it's cool. Like a classic remise, Porsche Museum, Mercedes Museum. Now you also have the Loh Collection, the National Automuseum, a couple of hours away, available. So go and pay it a visit.
I hope you enjoyed this video. The next thing is going to be track stuff. Although we try to make this video like race car and track car heavy, but I know that these videos are always a little bit boring. You know, like it's me and Sergio are walking around.
Going through cars.
So if you are one of these 1,000 or 2,000 people that enjoy these videos, please leave a comment under so we know a little bit what we're doing and if we should do a few more.
And if not, if we don't know what we are doing, which is probably going to be the case, we are still going to do whatever we want to do.
But we promise it is because we honestly like it. If it ends up in this channel, it's because we really like the content. I hope you enjoy, and see you on the next one, which is probably going to be
very
a
soon.
Different setup than this, or maybe
I like this one.
You like it? So Sergio, I see a lot of things that I like. Are you here for Christmas shopping?
We are not here for Christmas shopping. It's been a long time coming. I want to visit this place for quite some time, and it's finally happening today. We are at the Nationales Automuseum, the Loh Collection. I think the properly cool stuff is behind these walls, although the shop is nice, but we will have time for this later. Should we go have a look? Let's go have a look.
Well, so here in the Le Mans collection, we put up this banner with the starting grid of the Le Mans race 1931. And here you see the car with the number 7, and then the car with the open door, which is the car with the number 5. Those two cars from the picture.
And actually, this one says that it's original and unrestored. How can it look in this condition, it's unbelievable.
Well, somebody
Took good care of
paid
it.
good attention and yeah. So this is the way it looked in 1931. It raced in 28 and 29 as well. And this one was new in 31. So this one raced 3 times as well, 31, 33, and 34. And back then the cars were painted in the national colors. So as this was a Bugatti, and Bugatti was French, it should have been blue.
Yeah.
And the question, why is it black? So back then it was black because Ettore Bugatti was not so happy with the French government because he didn't get any support from them. So he said, well, then we're not French,
Okay.
so we painted black. In 33 and 34, it was raced in blue.
While this is clearly a British
For sure,
right?
yeah.
competitor, let's say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so here
That's
we have
so cool to have both in the same photo, by the way.
That's pretty cool, isn't it?
And actually a
Yeah.
detail that we would have missed if you weren't here. you
Yeah,
know?
no, it's
Yeah.
better when you get the explanation.
For sure.
Yeah, because otherwise it's just a picture. Here we have another car that's completely unrestored. This is a Jaguar C-Type from 1953. And back in 1953, it was entered by Écurie Francachon. So it was a Belgian car, and it was yellow. And you can still see the yellow underneath.
Traces, yeah?
Here you can still see traces of the yellow color, because for 1954 it was repainted in green, and back then it was just a race car, so you wouldn't
course.
pay attention to those details. They just brushed
Give it
over.
a new life, right?
Yeah, and
new identity.
then it was in one family ownership for more than 60 years, so that's why it's still in this survivor preserved condition. Another car that's in perfect
This is cool. This is down our alley.
in perfect condition and unrestored is this Porsche 550 Spyder. It was raced in Le Mans in 57 by Richard von Frankenberg, the Porsche test driver back then, and by Hans Hermann, who then in 1970 took the first overall victory for Porsche. But the interesting thing about this car is that after it was done as a race car, it was acquired by Herbert von Karajan, the famous conductor, and he used it as his street car.
Oh, really?
So he put Austrian Salzburg plates on it and had it painted red and used it in the street. And so you can still see the red paint in some areas, like here. Wow. Yeah. So the red paint is still underneath. And so it's completely original, maybe one of the most original 550 Spyders in the world.
This is so cool.
Yeah.
A very cool grocery getter for Mr. Karajan here.
Coming back to the racing colors, this is for the Dutch, of course. Yeah. Racing Team Holland. Ben Pon raced this car in 1964, and they finished second in class.
It looks frozen in time as well.
Yeah.
This has not been touched, right? Probably.
This is also
same
mostly original. Yeah.
It almost looks like a street car inside, huh? You know, like a proper track car that you would buy today would be more hardcore than this.
Yeah. Well, that was back then when Porsche only raced in the GT class.
Yeah, still no prototypes.
So still no prototypes. That only started then
yeah,
later with the 917.
yeah. Which I already
Which we will see later. Yeah. Here we have two very special Aston Martins. This is the car that started it all. This is the very first Aston Martin DB4 GT, the DP199, DP for development prototype. And so this is the very first DB4 GT built. And with this car, they did a race in preparation for the 24 Hours of Le Mans in 1959. And Sterling Moss raced this car at a race in Silverstone. And he took pole position and he finished first. So not a bad way to start, right?
started, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So unfortunately, it did not finish in Le Mans, but still very, very beautiful.
Significant car, of course.
Very
particularly
significant
since
for
it's
Aston
the
Martin's
first,
history.
Yeah.
And another very significant and very beautiful car, Aston Martin DB4 GT Zagato,
Zagato, yeah.
one of only 19 built. And coming back to the racing colors, these the stripes are not for Gucci, so those are
for Portugal, right?
or for Portugal. This is the racing color of Morocco.
Of Morocco, yeah.
Yeah, because the owner was a French guy living in Casablanca, so he raced with a Moroccan license. And then we come to first winner.
Yeah, the 70s.
So this Ferrari 365 GT4 Competizione Series 3 finished 6th overall and first in class in the GT class in 1973. And so with the Daytonas, Ferrari never raced as a factory, but only as a customer race car. So the customers were the importers most of the time. So in this case, Charles Pozzi, the French importer.
And there is a very well-known driver as well that then had later a history with Porsche, right?
Exactly, Vic Elford. Yeah. And also this car is highly original. So.
Yeah, I was going to say, it looks also like it finished the race yesterday. It's super cool.
Yeah.
Wow. The side pipes. Under the driver, I cannot imagine the noise.
And it's got a great sound, I can tell you.
So cool.
Yeah.
Things are getting quite serious here. Huh?
Well, and here we have the car that gave the Daytona its name, or one of the cars that gave the Daytona its name. It ran in Le Mans twice, in 66 and 67. And in 66, it won the 1,000 kilometers of Monza and in Spa. But its most significant achievement was being part of the 1-2-3 finish in Daytona in 1967, which was the revanche for the defeat in Le Mans in 1966. Everybody knows the Le Mans 66 movie.
Yeah.
When Ferrari lost out to Ford for the first time in the 60s.
There was a quick answer right after.
Yes, right? And so that car gave this car its name, and this car has been restored recently and brought back to its former Daytona glory.
It looks impressive, actually. And it's very compact when you see these cars in photos like that. They look, you think of a modern prototype.
Exactly. You think it looks being much bigger.
Purposeful and super. Very tight inside, so like a proper handful, really.
Yeah, but still a two-seater, which makes no sense. But
actually,
it's all about the rules. No? When we come to the later cars, you see that's still the case. So here you can see it properly, the second seat, 917, one of the most...
To call it something, really. Because to call that a seat, it's...
I
mean, it is a seat, but...
This still is a seat, with the more modern cars, there's no seat anymore. Yeah. This exact car raced in Le Mans in 1970 with David Piper and Gijs van Lennep, while the sister cars took first and second. This car, unfortunately, did not finish. But over its life, it had most of the significant 917 colors, like the purple and green Martini livery, the psychedelic, the red and white Lucky Strike, and all of that. So,
was this the original livery, though?
This was the original livery in Le Mans. At the test day of Le Mans, it was raced in the red David Piper livery. Maybe you know.
He will do some magic and put it in there for me.
Before David Piper raced in the red Sandeman livery, but for whatever reason it was changed to yellow. So Audi started in Le Mans in 1999, and since then they became the second most successful.
The R8C that is there. We were discussing how simple it looks compared to what happened after. That is already
right.
In there.
The sleek lines and everything. Yes, but since then Audi went on to become the second most successful competitor at Le Mans of all times.
Who would have thought?
And so they took 13 overall victories, and 12 of those victorious cars are in the Audi collection, and one is missing, and that's this one.
Team Go.
Team Go car from winner of 2004.
And this is one of Christensen's wins.
Exactly, exactly. Well, one of his 9 wins.
Exactly, one of his many wins.
The most successful driver in Le Mans of all times by far. And this car was actually quite experienced when it won in 2004 because it was already entered in 2002 and 2003.
Yeah, it had different liveries, different teams.
Exactly. Yeah. And so, as Audi does not have it, we're happy to have it here, and we're happy to be able to show it together with the original trophies and with the race-worn helmets.
That's very good.
And it's also pretty uncommon that you can show a Tom Christensen race-worn helmet, because he kept most of his helmets himself. Yeah.
Super cool. It doesn't look particularly light, I tell you. You need three guys to...
This one is really heavy.
Yeah.
To lift it up alone after a 24-hour race, that really,
you need the other two guys.
Really takes
quite some effort.
Takes some power, yes. Yeah. The little one is okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess Audi is a bit jealous that you have this here. Because they are, I mean, the car itself.
Yeah.
Because they are particularly proud about this heritage.
Yeah.
And it's very rare for one of these cars to be out of their hands. So
it's the only one. Yeah. So they might be jealous, they won't admit.
But I see it's not the only one here.
Yeah. So
how did this make it here? It's unbelievable.
No, this is, we often get asked, well, as you have the Le Mans winner, are the Audi people mad at you? No, they're not, because this is on loan from Audi. Yeah, so they thought it would be a good idea to have this here for our Le Mans exhibition to show the position of the driver and the whole packaging. So they made this back then for the Le Mans 24-hour race. I remember it being on display there, and then it toured the world, and now it's here. And it's pretty cool that you can see how the driver is sitting in the car and how much he can see,
or not see.
But
yeah, like also to see the different packaging, how everything is, you know.
And again, here you can see that there is space for a passenger seat. Then again, the driver is not sitting in the center. Yeah, and here we have the original car. This is the third place car from 2012. Back then, Audi was smart and didn't sell the winner, but they gave away the third place car, which was third in Le Mans, but it took victory in 2013 at the 12 Hours of Sebring.
Okay, so it has also...
And took the lap record as well, which it kept for quite a long time. Yeah.
So it's also a success.
So this is the most recent Le Mans car we have. And yeah, this is
the steering wheel. It's
centerpiece of the collection here in the...
That's very cool, by the way, when you are approaching the building from the outside, the prominent position and the sleek shape and everything. It's
Yeah, so here we have the return of Bentley to Le Mans. After 71 years, Bentley decided to come back to Le Mans. It's sort of an evolution of the R8C. And
proportions, lines are very similar.
Yeah. And so, but they did not race in the LMP1 category as the Audis did. So they did the GTP. And they finished first in class and third overall. And it was this particular car that they did it with.
Not a bad effort, huh?
Yeah. So
it's not a bad comeback, I would say.
Was a strong comeback, yeah.
For sure.
And then it only took another 2 years until 2003 when they finally got their victory.
Super cool.
Again with Tom Christensen.
Again, exactly.
Yeah.
He's not also a guy that stayed with one single brand, so kudos. Okay, that's a very cool combo, huh? When you see them like this.
Yes, it's, the complete opposite, right?
Yeah.
So if you look up Le Mans 99 on YouTube, that's the first thing that pops up, the flying CLR. And as you know, 2 of them went flying, and 1 survived and never got destroyed, and that's
they
exactly...
stopped it in time.
Yeah.
Because it would have flown, probably. Right?
Most likely.
Most likely.
That's this car, the only one that never got destroyed.
And it's here.
It's here.
You can see it. You cannot touch it, but you can see it.
No, you can't touch it, but you can see it. And we're happy to have it here because we can tell the story, and I think Mercedes would not want to.
They don't want to.
Yeah.
They try to, you know.
Yeah, and I can tell you the model of this car is the best seller in our shop.
Is it?
Yes.
Interesting.
Yep.
That's actually a very interesting fact.
Everybody seems to like the car and the history.
It is, yes.
Yeah, it's an interesting story because it's spectacular pictures, and luckily nobody got hurt. So I think it would be a completely different story if one of the drivers would have gotten hurt, or if spectators or whatever. So now we can all look back on that, and it made for some spectacular pictures and makes for a good story, but nobody got hurt, so that's okay.
And lessons were learned, huh?
Yeah.
From a design point of view, I'm sure that things were changed and
exactly.
So.
But I this year in Le Mans, I showed the picture of the car to Mark Webber and told him that we have the car, and he said, "Well,
I don't want to see it."
I don't want to see it. The car is a shitbox. So, yeah.
That sounds like a racing driver, exactly. Yeah. Well, that is quite a couple, huh? Bell and Bellof.
Yeah. Well, I think one of the most iconic racing liveries of all time and one of the most iconic Le Mans cars of all time combined, the 956.
No question.
In the Rothmans livery. So this car took Stefan Bellof to the Endurance Championship in '84. And this car also set the second fastest time in qualifying for the 24 Hours of Le Mans in 1985. And it is the most successful 956 build.
It's impressive, huh? The 956 with which Bellof did that ballistic 611 lap time at the Nürburgring. I would like to know if that specific car
that car was destroyed the next day.
In Flansgarten.
Yeah, exactly. But as far as I know, it's been restored. But I don't know where it is. But it would be easy to find out because the chassis number is known. So yeah.
Do you know that Porsche came there eventually with the 919? But for us, the forever, the ultimate lap time that will stay there forever is that 611. Also because it happened in racing conditions.
Exactly.
And, so of course, any manufacturer is welcome to bring their piece of machinery and try to beat that 519,
no,
I think.
It's hard to compare,
But,
because with the 919,
big boost, big
the car was
big aero.
purpose built. There was nobody else on the racetrack. They could pick the weather. They could pick the tires.
And they did very well, actually. We watched it. We saw that live, and it was impressive. But his legacy still lives on.
Sure.
So for sure.
Sure.
He will always be one of them.
Yeah. No, and the 919 record doesn't take anything away from his achievement.
Absolutely.
And I think Timo Bernhard thinks the same.
100%.
So from one world champion to the next. This is the 1989 World Championship winning car that took Jean-Louis Schlesser to the championship. And this car won every race that it finished.
Wow.
So you could say, well, it only finished one race. No, but it's not.
It was not the case.
It drove 5 races and it finished 4 of them. So 4 victories for Jean-Louis Schlesser. And in the sister car won the 24 Hours of Le Mans, which is still in the Mercedes collection now. And this was the 4th car that they took to Le Mans in 1989. So in Le Mans, it was brand new and was only a T car. So it did not compete in the race, but it was there. And later on helped Schlesser to win the championship.
Also famous for the first exploits of Schumacher.
Exactly.
Right?
That's where Schumacher and Heinz-Harald Frentzen learned a lot.
Yeah, they did. I love this. There's this photo of Schumacher with the model, which has to be like a 1.4 or something like that. The car is like this, and he's standing. I love that photo. Yeah. Wow. Very cool. This is TST. TST Sport Technique.
ST, yeah. That was before they acquired AMG, when they thought they need something sporty.
What do we have here?
But then we have another very significant car here. Let me open this so you get a better picture. This particular car won the Mille Miglia in 1952 with Giovanni Bracco. And Giovanni Bracco wasn't even supposed to race in the Mille Miglia because Villoresi was supposed to race, but he hurt himself in the Swiss Grand Prix, so couldn't compete. and Enzo Ferrari gave the car to Giovanni Bracco, who was a chain smoker. And the story goes that his co-driver Rolfo had to light him about 120 cigarettes during the 1,000 miles.
Poor interior, I see it's now restored.
That's completely restored, yeah. But back then they had strong opposition because the Mercedes Works team was there with the gull wings, and but still they finished first ahead of Kling. Was a tough race.
And probably unexpected win as well, right?
For this car, for sure, you had to substitute the driver. The 250 was barely tested. It was the first 250. We all know the GTO and everything that came after it. So, yeah, it was an unexpected victory, but a great victory, and we're happy to tell the story here in the museum. And so you would ask yourself, why is the car in the Le Mans exhibition? But back then, the cars did not only race like Mille Miglia, and this car was also entered at Le Mans. And there's another what-if story to it, because again, they were racing the Mercedes factory team, and Villoresi was back, and so he shared the car with Ascari, and Ascari did the fastest lap time in this car in the 1952 Le Mans race. So it deserves to be here.
Absolutely.
But when it was restored, of course, to the condition of its greatest victory of the 1952 Mille Miglia win, which still wears the 611, which means that they started in Brescia at 6:11 in the morning, quite early actually. But it's a beautiful car.
It's a very cool car.
This
is completely down your alley, Kostas.
This is a pretty significant 911 too. This took part in Le Mans in 1993 and 1994, and in 1994 it finished first in class in the GT class. So another real winner here on display.
In original condition as well, right?
Litre competition, pretty much, yes.
Yeah, it looks also like the Viper down there. Huh? It's also
the Viper is also Litre.
And also in the similar colors.
And the Viper is also a real champion because the Viper won the FIA GT championship in 2001. Yeah. Nowadays the GT cars are far away from the street cars, but back then you could pretty much buy the same car and and drive it on the street. Yeah. Had a different stance, but most of the rest was alike.
This would be difficult to run on nowadays.
This is not your average room. We are at the Loh Collection. We just finished a very, very long day, a beautiful day.
I think it's been worth every minute of it. So.
100%. Serge, what should we say?
I think this was, at least in my case, beyond what I expected. I was very nicely surprised by the whole museum, the way everything is presented, the way everything is lit, the way the cars are displayed. Florian, thank you very much for the opportunity. The
no
tour
question,
was
absolutely.
And of course, more than we could actually explain ourselves.
For sure, and there is still so much more. Like every single car that you see here, it has its own story. Yeah. I highly recommend you come here, you spend time around them. You're going to find your own favorite. I like different stuff, he likes different stuff. There is
been geeking over the last 20 minutes in this very room.
Yeah, there is all these cool details here. We're not going to tell you about this, but there is all these cool motorsport details, how everything is being fast and how everything is being positioned in the car, you know, how low is the engine, how, for example, we were just literally discussing this before, how often do you see like a LMV car and you see the pedal box and where the steering shaft goes and where the dampers, hybrid system, all the cool geeky stuff we love.
All they have in one big space, actually a very cool space.
And a very well presented, a very well lit, a very, 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 very cool place.
Remember, this is only 2 hours away from the Nürburgring. So
200 kilometers.
One of these quiet mornings that you have nothing to do and you are visiting in the area, the Loh Collection. You know where it is.
You come here, you're going to find links in the bottom, and you're going to see us here back, most definitely, because there were many things that we want to see, and there is not enough time. The light is going away, and I think they want us out of here, at least for now.
I can't blame them.
At least for now. Yes, again, a big thanks to Florian, a big thanks to the guys for having us here, and I hope you enjoyed a little bit of a different video, but I think a very interesting one.